Yes, I'm Hannah. I work at Waddy Loves Health Centre and I work in the clinical psychology team as one of their assistants. So I do lots of different things. I help the qualified psychologists to do their jobs by joining them on visits or doing some of the administration tasks, so helping them with their write-ups of things. I help do learning disability assessments and I do some therapy under their supervision and helping people with their emotions, and we do a bit of research into the service, evaluating what works and what doesn't. And that.
Can you tell us about stress and anxiety?
When something is new or it's unexpected, or if something's unknown and you're waiting to hear about it, you might feel very little control over it. You might feel stress from this. So stress, it can be helpful. It does have a purpose. So when we get stressed, our body goes into a fight or flight mode and it produces hormones to get ready to react to dangerous situations, making us ready to run away or to fight what's happening. So if we're doing something new, like talking to a new person or doing a speech, it can push us to get through what's making us feel stressed. But anxiety is a normal part of life that affects us at different times and in different amounts, and sometimes a cause of anxiety isn't always clear to the person who has it. Anxiety might carry on without you knowing what's causing it. So one really good way of thinking about it that I found on Anxiety UK's website is that if you imagine your stress levels being like a bucket of water. So if we keep adding stresses to it, so if you're stuck in traffic or you're waiting for something or you're late for something, the bucket might fill up and then eventually it might overflow, and that overflow is the anxiety. And it might feel like it's come from nowhere, but what actually has happened is that lots of little stresses has built up and it's tipped over. So we've got to find ways to relieve the stresses before they get to an overflow point.
What are the symptoms of anxiety?
So the symptoms, you might feel your heart rate getting faster. You might start hyperventilating, so breathing quickly, so you might have a shortness of breath. You might feel quite jittery, so not being able to sit still. You might get clammy or sweaty hands. You might feel sick or dizzy, and you might not be able to sleep properly. And you might have lots of thoughts that you're not in control of what's happening. You might think things are worse than what they are, or you might feel quite panicky. And you might feel quite on edge and you just want to escape, you just want to run away. They're some of the symptoms of it.
Is stress different from anxiety?
So stress comes and goes. If you've got a meeting that you're worried about coming up, you might feel stressed about it, but when that meeting has gone, then the stress will go away with it. Whereas anxiety is a more prolonged reaction to the stress, so it's not about what's happening on the outside, it's happening in the inside.
What are symptoms of stress?
So symptoms of stress, you might feel quite impatient. You might feel quite angry. Your eating habits might change. You might feel quite low in energy and not feel like you really want to do many things. You might have physical problems from stress. So if you have stress for a long time, it can cause problems with your back. You can also have a fast heart rate and headaches, feeling sick, and you can also get frequent colds and infections from increased stress if that's prolonged as well.
What can we do to feel more relaxed?
So there's loads of things you can do to feel more relaxed. One of the things, if you're feeling stressed or anxious, is to distract yourself. So you could do something that you enjoy. So you could read something that you enjoy. You could watch a movie. You could go outside for a walk or do some sport. Or you could do something really simple. And another thing you can do is, this is a good skill so if you stop what you're doing, take a step back, just breathe and just think, okay, what's happening? What's going on? What am I feeling? And then carry on with what you're doing whilst you're aware of what you're thinking and feeling, and you're more present in that situation. That's a good thing to do. Something that I think's really great is something called progressive muscle relaxation, which sounds quite... All it means, if you tense your muscles, so if you got your hand and clench it and hold that for a few seconds, and then just that relaxing your muscles you as well. So if you can start that from the tips of your toes and then go up your body just tensing them. Some other things you can do, some self-soothe things involving your eyes, your ears. You can look at things that are beautiful, like some art that you might like, some things that are in your favourite colour, or you could look at some photos that have a special memory to you. So maybe if you like spending time with your family and you've got a family memory that you like, so looking at that photo might help you feel relaxed. We can listen to things that make us feel more relaxed too. So maybe we have a favourite piece of music, or maybe even just the sound of some water. People find that really relaxing. So like a stream or the sound of the ocean going in and out. That's really lovely. We can go outside as well and hear natural sounds, which are quite nice, the birds or the trees moving in the wind. We can smell things that make us feel relaxed too, so maybe you've got a favourite perfume. People like the smell of the ground after it's rained, or if you bake something that you like. And then you can taste and touch things as well that can help you feel more relaxed. So eating something that you find really tasty, or using hand cream and lotion nice on your hands when you massage it in, and that can make you feel really relaxed. So there's lots of different things that you can do.
Do breathing.
Yeah, breathing exercises are really helpful when you're feeling stressed and you short breaths. But if you try and breathe slowly in through and do that slowly, it makes your body feel like it does when you are relaxed. Brain, which is great, so it sort of tricks your brain into thinking you are relaxed.
Can be set.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's so many lovely, see, you can smell them. We love the smell of lavender in our office sometimes. It can help us feel when things are getting hectic. But if it doesn't work for you, you've tried it and you think, no, it doesn't make me feel okay, because there's lots of different ways you can try, and it's just about finding what works for you, really.
Does it also exercise?
Yeah, excellent. So that helps us in lots. It's really good for our physical health, but it's really good for our mental health too. So when you exercise, your brain releases chemicals that make you feel happy, which is great. So if you're feeling stressed or worried, then it's really good to have those chemicals to make you feel happy. And when you're exercising as well, that concentration on just moving, think less about the worries that you're making in your own calmer, which is really good. And exercise helps you sleep better as well. So that's good. If you don't like doing exercise, if you really don't fancy going for a run or anything, then there's lots of different ways that you can fit exercise in. So you could try different things like yoga or cycling or swimming, and finding a friend to do some exercise with can help as well.
What happens to my body when I experience stress?
So different things can happen to your body when you're feeling stress. Your heart can start going faster, or you might find that you've got a headache, or you might feel a bit sick and your stomach might not feel very good. So those things can happen in the short term. If you have stress for a long time, then you might feel that your body is quite low on energy and you don't really feel like doing anything. And you might have some physical problems like stomach problems or problems with your heart. And eventually you might have infections, and you might get colds quite a lot of the time. Yeah, that's what happens to your body.
How can stress affect my behaviour and emotions?
So stress can make us feel quite impatient. It can make us feel a lot less happy. It can make us feel quite angry as well. So when we're feeling angry or unhappy, that can affect our behaviour. We might not want to do the things that we usually like doing. We might not be as kind talking to the people that we usually like talking to. It can make us not want to do as many things as we want to. If we're not feeling unhappy, we might want to hide away from things.
Is it true that you shouldn't eat cheese before going to bed because it will give you nightmares?
Well, that is a really interesting question. I had a little look into it because I know that that's what people say, isn't it? They say that you shouldn't eat cheese before going to bed, but I'm not sure really. Some people say that you shouldn't do, but some people say it's just a myth. So if you feel like it gives you nightmares before you get to bed, then don't eat it. But if you feel like it's fine, then I guess that's all right.
Does it help to have a milky drink before I go to bed?
Well, I go to sleep, but it is really important that you have sort of an evening routine before you go. And if having a drink or a Horlicks type drink, if that helps you and it's something that you do each night, then continue doing that. That's great.
How many hours of sleep at night should I get?
The advice is that adults get 7 to 9 hours sleep a night, which I don't know about you guys, but I'd find quite difficult sometimes. But yeah, so that's the advice, between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. And to try and get that sleep at the same times as well. So not going to bed at different times each night of the week, but going to the bed at the same time each day.
If I'm not sleeping at night, what can I do to help me sleep?
There's lots of different things we can do to try and make it easier. If we try and go to sleep at the same time each day, that can really help. So if we get into a routine, and if we're feeling tired early on in the evening, then it's really good to sort of push through that and do something so that when it is time to come to sleep later on in the evening, then you go to sleep easier then. Some things that help is that if you to make your bedroom where you sleep a dark place, so there's not bright lights around. If you spend more time outside in the daytime in natural light, that's really helpful. It's really important that you don't look at a screen just before you go to bed. So if you turn your TV off, I don't know if if you have like tablets or iPads, then if you keep them out of the bedroom, or if you turn them off an hour or so before you go to bed, then that's really helpful. And also if you do exercise in the daytime and go outside in the daytime, that's really helpful for you to go to sleep in the evening. And then the last thing is alcohol and caffeine. So if you have a drink of alcohol before you go to bed, that can actually stop you from sleeping as well. So it might make you feel quite sleepy, but it's actually stopping you from getting the deep sleep that you need.
Can my job affect my stress levels?
Yeah, definitely. If you've got a job where you find it quite difficult, or if you have a job where there's a lot of pressure on you, then that can make you feel quite stressed. I'd say if you're feeling quite stressed at work, then let the person that you work for know, and they might be able to make your job a little bit easier, or have a little bit more support through what you're doing so that you don't feel as stressed.
How do you raise awareness for stress, mental health?
Well, doing things like this is great. There's lots of things we can do. Putting things on social media is a really good way, so I think that's what I'll be doing. Platforms like Facebook and Instagram, and just letting your friends know of what stress is and how they can cope with stress better, and just helping the people in your life to know ways of dealing with stress.
Sometimes I worry about silly things and I can't sleep at night. It makes me upset. What should I do?
It's really hard when you've got things on your mind before you go to sleep and they make you feel worried. I think one of the best things you can do is to spend some time winding down before you go to bed. So maybe do some of those things that we talked about earlier about de-stressing. And if you've got things on your mind, then maybe write them down or tell somebody what they are before you go to bed, so they're not in your head but they're out of there, and you'll be able to calm down a bit better and sleep a bit better. Then that's a good thing to do as well.
If I feel really anxious and I can't sleep, do I need to see a doctor?
You can see a doctor. Sometimes if we're feeling really anxious and can't sleep, then if you try doing some of the sort of winding down ways and try and soothe yourself before going to sleep, and that still doesn't work, then your doctor's always there to hear about those problems, and I'm sure they'd be able to advise you.
Is there a website where we can find out more information?
Yeah, Anxiety UK's website, that's really good. There's one called Headspace, which is an app that you can get on your phone, and that can help you do breathing exercises and something called mindfulness, which is really good. I've seen one called NHS Mood Zone, which has some audio guides, things that you can listen to help you feel more calm. There's an interesting website called the Sleep Council as well, which gives some information from the point of view of different people. So yeah, there's lots of things online to help you find out more information.